everybody, John Bair Knuckle Strength, here today to help you troubleshoot your kettlebell swing. Now, being a coach, having online coaching clients, in-person brick and mortar clients, and now working with an online community to help them with their kettlebell swings, I see a lot of the same problems. Okay, so I want to help you troubleshoot some of those. The first thing I really see a problem with is people ripping their calluses off their hands or their hands getting really beat up. Look, you all have stuff to do, okay, outside of your kettlebell workouts. You can't beat your hands up. It's not cool. I don't care what you say. All right? So, the first thing that I would show you is I have what's a sock right here, okay, an old sock that I chopped the top off, and what I do is I put those along my calluses right here, okay? See how I do that? So when I have my hands on the kettlebell, I can still have a little protection, but without the gloves, they take away from my grip and my hand awareness, and I don't want that. So this is a better alternative, top of the sock, all right? Now, the next part is how you grip the kettlebell. We don't want to squeeze it too hard, okay? We want to use more of a hook grip, and if the kettlebell handle travels in here, show you from this side. The kettlebell handle travels right in here. We don't want to squeeze it really hard. We just want to hold on to it with a hook. Okay? Kind of like that right there. If you can see from the side. So I'm not squeezing really hard. I'm hooking it in. Okay? Now, the next step, we have our hands down, is our stance. Alright? I see a lot of people too narrow or way too wide. Alright? I'm going to step back and show you. I want you to imagine that if you were going to broad jump, which is jumping straight out in front of you, not a vertical jump, broad jump. How would you stand? So, to me, if I was getting ready to broad jump, I would go like this. Alright? And if you see, my legs opened up just a little bit, and I have just enough room right now to pass a kettlebell through there. So for me, if I take a step back, my broad jump stance is right here. So this is my kettlebell swinging position. Not in here, not out here. Right here, okay? Now, the next part I see is when people swing, right, their knees are going forward. That kind of stuff, all right? Well, we have another fix for that. Get in your stance. What you do, I have here, are two little weight plates, okay? 10-pounders. Put them on the ground. You can use a piece of wood or a book or something similar. And you'll notice I've put my toes up on these little plates, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit back into my hips because I can't move my knees forward without my heels coming off the ground. That's not what we want. We want to be able to use our hips to power up this kettlebell swing. Okay? So, with my toes up, my knees can't come forward. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up in my stance and do a couple swings. Okay? What that also does, if I'm not too narrow and I go to swing back, my knees have to buckle to get in there. Having my toes up forces my hips to go back and my knees to track the way that they're supposed to naturally. Okay? You can't think about, well, I have to keep my feet in here because somebody told me I have to keep a narrow stance. That's not a good thing. Okay? You need to go where your body needs to be naturally. Also, another thing, if you feel like when you're swinging and your toes are coming up or you're coming forward and your toes are coming out and your feet are coming disconnected from the ground, that's not a good thing. Your body is losing stability and the forces that are being generated from the ground up are now going somewhere else that they're not supposed to because you're losing your connection from the ground. Okay? So get all that together. Now that we have everything sort of put together, the next problem that I see is hiking the kettlebell. Okay? If you're familiar with American football, we have the hike analogy where a center sets up and he hikes the kettlebell. Okay? Now, we also want to do that at the top of the swing. Okay? We don't want to play passive So when we hit the apex and that thing's floating, and we just kind of let it lazily come back down. Because the further it gets down to the ground this way, puts stress on our back. So we need to keep that thing above our knees, back into our hips, and we need to get it there aggressively with the hike. And it looks like this. Okay? And if you'll notice, at the top of that swing, I did not play passive and let that kettlebell just drift too low. I forced it back into my hips. Okay? Now, the last thing that I see a problem with is this thing right here at the bottom of the swing, this bobbleheady thing. Okay? This is no good. When my head is in this position and the weight is back here, there's a lot of stress on my neck. So, how do we fix it? Give yourself a double chin, okay? If I put it all together with everything else that I've been working on, it looks like this. Okay? So, get your grip in order, okay? Make sure that you're hooking your fingers into the kettlebell, okay? Make sure that your stance isn't too narrow, isn't too wide. Make sure that you don't have to push your knees out to get your kettlebell in your swing. Make sure that your knees are not drifting forward in your swing and you're leaning back. And a lot of that can be fixed with putting your toes up, okay? Make sure that you're hiking the kettlebell on the way down and snapping your hips on the way up, and make sure you keep your chin tucked in. Thank you very much. I hope these tips help you with your swing efficiency, and if you have any other questions or comments, leave them in the comments section down below for John at Bair Knuckle Strength. Thanks. Have a great day.